Hello, this is Ruling, and I just wanted to do a quick video. As some of you may know, I've been out a while for a few months now, and I've been thinking about getting back in and preparing for the last content patch and everything, getting up to date with my pets and all of that, but I just haven't went through with it yet. In the meantime, I've been kind of back to my roots, playing card games, and one of them is the Steam game Magic Duels of the Planeswalkers 2014. And if you've never played Magic the Gathering, sorry. If I ever get back into WoW, I'll start making WoW videos again. But I wanted to do a video and kind of go over my favorite deck in Duels. So I'll do that now. My favorite deck is actually Deadwalkers. It's a black deck focused around zombies, and I'll just go over kind of my choices I've made as far as how to run the deck. You can run it two different ways. In 1v1, I suggest like an aggressive aggro deck with a lot of zombies, a lot of lower cost cards. If you're doing like two-headed giant or something, there is a way that you can run it as kind of a control deck, more with everything, but I'll go over some of the cards and how they're useful in each. I do the standard 24 lands that you would do in a Magic deck. As far as my 1-drops, I have a Gravecrawler here. It's a 2/1 for 1 mana. He can't block, but you can cast him from your graveyard as long as you control a zombie. He is basically the all-star of the aggro deck because he's just a little dude. You know, he's fatter in the front for a 1-drop, and you can just pump him up, and you're not afraid to just go in with him every turn. So even if he's gonna die or they're gonna block him or whatever, you just want to go in with him and make them answer him every turn. In a control deck, since he can't block, he's not as useful, but he's definitely a superstar if you're just wanting to swamp them with zombies. The other 1-drop monster is the Diregoth Ghoul, and he comes into play tapped. There's a couple of these zombies that come into play tapped. It's kind of like a flavor thing, and due to being zombies, you know, they're slow to start or whatever. But he's a 1 cost for a 2/2. So he's very aggressively costed, and honestly, you don't really care about him coming into the play tapped a whole lot. He's just a really good 1-drop monster. I also do Vampiric Tutor. It's like one of the best cards in the deck. You pay 2 life, you search your library at instant speed for any card and put it on top of your library. So you do it at their end step, and you just basically put any card you want on top of your library to draw when you start your turn. So it's very powerful for just 2 life. The other, our last 1-drop card I play is Reanimate. You can actually get 2 of these in the deck. I only play with 1. You basically bring a creature card back from your graveyard onto the battlefield, and you lose life equal to its mana cost. So I don't play with both of them. I've been playing around with it and adding it and removing it, and it just plays better for me right now with one of them in, but that's subject to change at any time. There are a few 1-drops that I don't play in the deck. The first one is Vial of Poison. You basically pay 1 to sacrifice it to give one of your creatures Death Touch until the end of the turn. And you're going to use this basically because you're going to be attacking in every turn. So if they happen to block one of your dudes with like something real big on their side, then you can pop this and give your creature Death Touch so it kills their monster. It's just a really clunky, like, you're giving up 2 cards just to kill their monster, and I just took it out. The other one is Quest for the Grave Lord. You put it down, and then every time a creature dies, you put a counter on it, and you can remove 3 counters and sacrifice it to bring a 5/5 zombie in. Now, you'll get your 5/5 zombie very quickly, like 1 or 2 turns, because you're smashing in every turn, stuff's going to be dying. So, there was just not room in it. The 5/5 zombie they can deal with pretty easily, and I want to be laying zombies that can attack then or the next turn. I don't want this sitting on the field waiting and all of that, but it's a decent card if you want it in there. So let's go to the 2-drops. First 2-drop is Butcher Ghoul. It's just a 1/1, but it has Undying. So you basically treat this like a 2-drop for 2/2, which is normal, with an extra chump block in it, basically. So Undying means that when it's destroyed, it comes back with a 1/1 counter on it. So when this is killed, it immediately comes back to the battlefield with a 1/1 counter on it, so it's a 2/2, and then they have to kill it again if they want to get rid of it permanently. So you're basically getting 2 uses out of the same card. So it's good. Your 2-drop here is Black Cat, and despite being a cat, it is also a zombie, and that's very important in this deck. When it dies, the opponent discards a card at random. So the fact that they don't get to pick the card means that this is kind of like a psychological card where they have to think, you know, if I block this, or if I attack in and they block with it and it dies, you know, is it going to be worth it? Because the random card, it could get like the best card out of your hand to the graveyard. So they have to really think about whether they want to kill the card or not. And with how much return to the battlefield stuff you have in this deck, you'll be seeing the Black Cat a lot. The other one is just your basic 2 mana for 2/2 vanilla zombie. 2 mana for 2/2 is pretty good. It's right there where it needs to be. Nothing much to say about it. Doomblade is your main inexpensive method of killing cards. It's destroy target non-black creature. So up against the mirror matchup when you're facing another Deadwalkers, or there's also a blue-black deck, it's not going to do much in those situations, but every other deck, it's just basically destroy whatever you want creature-wise for 2 mana. So, very good. Then you have your 3-drops, so let's see what 2-drops I didn't take. Bloodghast is a 2-drop for 2/1. It also can't block, but if they have less than 10 life, it has haste, and it returns to the battlefield whenever you drop a land. So, all in all, it's a good aggro card. My problem with it is that it's not a zombie. It's a vampire. So it's not going to get pumped by any of the pump spells we're fixing to go over. It doesn't have synergy with any of your other cards. I just didn't have room for it. But it is a nice aggressive little card that's going to come back probably every turn and have haste if you're already beating them. Then you have Exhume. Each player puts a creature card from their graveyard onto the battlefield. We already have a whole lot of methods to get stuff back from the graveyard, so I don't need to be paying mana to give them a creature card back, especially because we run a lot of small creatures, so I don't want to be in a situation where I can't play this just because they have a better creature than me in their graveyard. It's like helping your opponent. Sign in Blood is actually not bad. It's draw 2 cards and you pay 2 life to draw them. 2 life doesn't mean anything in this deck, So it's basically 2 mana to draw 2 cards. There's just not room for it, and there's not much of a need for it. So I just couldn't, like, on my turn 2, I want to be playing zombies. I don't want to be drawing more cards. This isn't the draw cards deck. The last 2 drop I didn't take is Shrivel, and all creatures get -1/-1 till the end of turn. It's kind of a way to deal with tokens. There are decks with a lot of tokens and little dudes in them, and it's a way to deal with that, but it doesn't deal with it very effectively anyway. It's just not that powerful, so I left it out. 3 drops is Lord of the Undead. This is a 2/2 zombie that buffs. It gives you a +1/+1 to all your other zombies. So it's one of your pump engines to pump all your little dudes. And you can also pay 2 and tap it to return a zombie from your graveyard to your hand. So if you're running out of cards, you can't cast anything, just tap him. He gives you more zombies in your hand that you're likely able to turn around and play the same turn you got them back, because they're all so low costed anyway. So he's just your 3. He pumps your little dudes so they can go in. This right here is one of the best cards they put here. It's a 3/2 for 3. He comes into play tapped like some of your other zombies, but when he comes into play, the opponent loses 2 life, and he has Undying, so they destroy him, he comes back, they lose 2 more life. You sacrifice him, he comes back, they lose 2 more life. And he's pretty big. I mean, he's got 3 in the front for 3, which is kind of where he needs to be. So they didn't give him low stats to compensate for that, which makes him a really good card. I've run both of them. This right here is another 3 for 2/2 that buffs all your other zombies. So he's just like the Lord of the Undead, except instead of having the tap effect to get monsters back, he gives all your other dudes Death Touch, which is just like the Black Cat, kind of changes how they're going to view combat. If you give all of your other dudes Death Touch, it's going to be really good. He's going to have to think about whether he wants to block your dudes or not, because he's going to lose anything he blocks with. Death Touch, if you don't know, is it destroys a creature. If your creature with Death Touch does damage to them, it destroys them even if that damage wasn't lethal. So basically, if they block, they know they're going to lose the creature that they block with. And he's a pumper, so he's great. The last 3 cost card is Flesh Bag. What it is, when he enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature. So some people immediately are like, I don't like that, take him out, because I have to sacrifice a creature too. But really, he's insanely powerful, because most of the creatures you're going to sacrifice are going to come back anyway, or you're going to be able to cast them from the graveyard, or they're going to make them discard a card, all of that stuff. He can target himself too, so at worst, you're paying 3 to make the opponent sacrifice a creature, because you play him and then he sacrifices himself, which isn't too bad actually. So he's just good. There's insane things you can do with him. Just trust me and keep both of them in there. The 3 drops I didn't take are Staff of the Death Magus. They put these staves in almost every deck. It's whenever you play a black spell or land, you gain 1 life. It has no bearing on the game. It slows you down. It's just bad. This is also just bad. Soul Bleed. You put it on a creature, and each turn they lose 1 life as long as it's enchanted. It's slow. You're paying 3 mana to deal 1 damage a turn to them, and no thanks. Grim Return, though, is actually pretty good. I just couldn't find a place for it in the deck. This is a new card, I believe, and it's instant speed, and you choose a creature that hit the graveyard this turn, and you put it back on the field. So that's like you attack in, and they block with something big you like. You bring it back, or you Doomblade something big on their side. Play this, bring it back to your side. You know, there's a lot of combos, but you have to kind of have a lot of mana open, especially if you want to like Doomblade and then bring it back. There's just, because you can only do it on the turn that it went to the graveyard, it kind of limits it a little bit. But it's not a bad card. There's just not a place for it. The last 3-drop I didn't take was Death Cloud. Death Cloud is 3X, and each player loses X life, discards X cards, sacrifices X creature, and sacrifices X lands. So it's basically like a total field removal. This is great in like a controlling, like two-headed giant deck. It's just, there's not going to be a lot of situations 1v1 when you have a field full of zombies just attacking them every turn where this is going to be the card that you want to hit them with. There are other cards we'll get to later that you want to hit them with if you want to give them late game pressure. So my 4-drops. Liliana's Reaver is a 4-drop for a 4/3. It has Death Touch. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, that means it has to get through and not be blocked. That player discards a card, and you put a 2/2 zombie token on the field. Basically, what this guy is going to come down and do is they're going to have to block him or kill him with something. He's like a lightning rod for removal. So the second he hits the field, they're going to deal with him as fast as possible, because they don't want to be discarding cards and you getting tokens every turn. So the 3 in the back, if he was a 4/4, he would be great. The 3 in the back means they can block him pretty effectively with stuff. But I like him just because it makes the opponent react to you. Like, they're going to do something about this card when it hits the field. The other 4-drop monster I have is the Undead War Chief. It says 1/1, but it gives all of your zombie creatures, including itself, +2/+1 when it comes out. So it's actually a 3/2 when it hits the floor. So don't look at the 1/1 and get excited negatively or anything, because it comes out as a 3/2. And zombie spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. So it makes all your stuff cheaper, and it pumps them double in the front. That's exactly what you want. You run all 3 copies of it that you can. The other 4-drop cards that I've picked are Grave Pact, and I had to really think about this one because it is kind of like a slower card to get going. So whenever a creature you control dies, each other player has to sacrifice a creature. So like if they block your little dudes that are going to come back anyway and they kill them off, then they have to get rid of stuff on their side of the field too. So it really, I left it in because it dramatically changes how your opponent has to react. Like, they pay a lot to kill your stuff, because your stuff can have Death Touch, they're all pumped up big, and then you add the fact that if they block with bigger stuff, they're going to have to start sacrificing creatures too. It really messes them up. So I kept it in. I kept both copies of Tendrils of Corruption in. It's an instant speed. It deals X damage to target creature, and you gain X life, and X is the number of swamps you control. So at worst, it's going to deal 4 damage to something and gain you 4 life, and then as the game progresses and you get more land drops, this is going to be bigger and bigger. I keep both in here because it's one of the only removal spells you have to deal with stuff in the mirror matchup or with the blue-black deck, and it gains you life, which you're going to be sacrificing life and letting them attack through a lot in this deck. So it's just those big bumps of life when you play it are actually good, and it's instant speed. You have Mutilate, which is 4, and all creatures get -1/-1 for each swamp you control. So it's going to be at least -4/-4, which is going to basically clear the field. So why would you want to clear the field when you're this big, aggressive, put as many zombies out as you can kind of deck? Well, all the other decks that are big in this format also want to swamp the field with monsters. So there will be situations a lot of the time where you have less field advantage than your opponent, and you want to just kill everything on the field to kind of reset the battlefield. And plus, some of your stuff comes back anyway, so it isn't like killing your stuff off means they're gone forever. You'll use this card, or have to use it. You'll probably have to tutor for it more than you would think. The last 4 drop I take is Consuming Vapors. It's target sacrifices a creature for 4. In and of itself, that wouldn't be that great, but it has Rebound. What Rebound means is that your next turn, you get to cast it again for free. And nobody reads that word at the bottom, Rebound. So you'll use it, and then they'll cast something big on their turn, and then you just get to use it again, and they have to get rid of whatever they summon. So, or if they do know about Rebound, it keeps them from summoning something good on that turn, so that they don't have to sacrifice it. So it is kind of a controlling card, but it's a really good piece of removal as well, so I kept it in. 4 drops that I didn't take are this ghoul right here. I don't know how to say the first word. It's a 4 drop for a 3/2 with first strike, and whenever a creature dealt damage to it dies, you gain life equal to that creature's toughness. So it has first strike with 3 in the front for 4. So when it attacks in, it's probably going to kill whatever blocks it, and you gain life equal to the toughness. For me though, it's a 4 drop, and it's not going to be able to do very much. It's kind of like a wall. Now in control deck, this is going to wall them off. This is going to keep them from attacking, because you can block with it and all of that. But 4 drop, if I want a 4 drop in this deck, I want it doing something better. Like, I want it to be a war chief that's buffing all my guys, not something that's going to wall them off. This one was a hard decision. This is Endless Ranks of the Dead. Endless Ranks of the Dead is, well, it wasn't really that hard of a decision. It's good for the control-y type, but it's not too good for aggro. So 4 drop at the beginning of your upkeep, put a number of 2/2 zombie creature tokens onto your battlefield, where X is half the number of zombies you control rounded down. The reason you don't play this in aggro is on turn 4, you want to drop like a war chief or something that's going to change your field presence. You don't want to drop this and then say go, and then next turn you might get 1 token off of it and then say go, and like it takes a while for it to ramp up its effectiveness, and when it comes down, it doesn't have an immediate effect on the battlefield. So, and since it rounds down, you get into this weird psychological thing where you're like, well, I have 4 zombies out and I can't really attack because they'll kill one of them, and I want the full value of this card, and it's just, it makes you play worse to get the full effect out of it. So I don't like it. I don't play any 5-drops. There's two of creatures in the deck. Velborn Ghoul can't block, and it comes back to your hand when you play a swamp. So it's a 5-drop for a 4/1 that comes back to your hand when you play a swamp. Not very good. Don't play it. Bone Flinger is a 5-drop for a 2/2 that when it enters the battlefield, target creature gets -2/-2 to the end of turn. It's 5 mana for a 2/2 that gets to kill off a weak creature when it comes into the battlefield. 5 mana, and it doesn't have Undying. It doesn't have any of that. You're paying 5 mana for a 2/2. It's bad. Cruel Revival 5. They give you 4 of them in the deck. You destroy target non-zombie creature and return a zombie from your graveyard to your hand. So it's giving you value on both sides, but 5 mana to destroy a creature, and it doesn't even work in a mirror matchup. Don't waste deck space on it. 5 mana is a lot to pay for something in this deck. So 6-drops. I don't play anything over 6. I put 3 of them in the deck, but I want to kind of cut it down to 2. I've been thinking about that. I do Grave Titan because he's a 6/6 for 6 that has Death Touch, and whenever he enters the battlefield or attacks, you get tokens. Two zombie tokens. So he's gonna pump up your little army of zombies, and I put him in there because even if they deal with him, he's giving you value. Like he hits the field, gives you 2 zombies, and they remove him. You don't really cry about it because you got at least 2 tokens out of him, and every time he attacks in, because you attack in with him every turn, he's gonna give you 2 more zombies. He's great. The Unhallowed here is one I had to really think about because it is kind of a control-y type card as well. It has an Intimidate, so when it actually starts attacking, it can't be blocked. That's great. Whenever a human deals damage to you, destroy it. So it kind of destroys the human kind of aggro deck that's in this game as well, but that's very limited. It does pump your guys and give them Undying, though. That's the bit of text that you care about. So it pumps all your guys and gives all your other dudes Undying. So basically, when you drop this on turn 6 or 7, whenever you get to, you basically get to attack in with everything and you don't care because everything has Undying anyway. If they block it all, then it just all comes back bigger. So this is like the guy you drop and then you attack with everything else. Corrupt is just a good game ender. It deals damage equal to the number of swamps you control, but it can be to a creature or player and you gain life. So it's like Tendrils of Corruption, except it can hit them in the face as well. It pretty much end game. You want this to draw this pretty late in the game. You have 6 or 7 swamps or more down, and you've whittled their life down, but you're kind of at a stalemate. You draw your Corrupt, hit them in the face, and win. They give you a lot of big cards up here that aren't very good. Nightmare is a flyer, 6 cost flyer that's equal to the amount of swamps you control. He's just too big, too slow. Gravespawn Sovereign's another 6. He's a 3/3, and you tap 5 zombies to put creature card from a graveyard under your control. So you have to have like a lot of board presence before he matters anyway. And if you tap zombies, then you can't attack with them, and your whole point is to attack with your zombies. So you basically tap your whole side to get a creature back. No. Zombie Apocalypse is another 10. Return all zombie cards from your graveyard and tap. It does destroy all humans, so it's good against that one deck, but 6 mana, and they come into play tapped. 6 mana is a lot to play for that. Then you have 7 mana for an enchantment that whenever an opponent's creature dies, it comes back under your control. That's fine, but you're almost never going to have 7 mana to spend on this, and then you don't get any value out of it until their stuff actually starts dying. So no thank you. Rise of the Dark Realms is 9, but it pretty much says 9 mana you win, but it's 9 mana. You're never gonna have 9 mana almost playing this 1v1. So no, like 9 mana is much too. This is gonna just sit in your hand 99% of the time. It returns all monsters from all graveyards to your field. So, Demon of the Death's Gate, a lot of people are putting in this build. It costs like 9 mana as well, but no one pays it for the mana cost. What it is you can pay 6 life and sacrifice 3 creatures to bring it into the field, and it has flying, trample, 9/9. So for the cost of 6 life and just sacrificing 3 of your dudes, you get a 9/9 flying trampler, and you can do that on like turn 3 or 4 with this deck. So like turn 3, 6 life, sacrifice 3 of your dudes, you get a 9/9 trampler. So a lot of people are running this card. My problem is it's easy to remove that early in the game, and I know everything can be removed, but you remove this and it's like you paid 6 life and sacrificed 3 of your creatures, and then they unsummon it. It's a lot. Like, it's a very risky. If you play it and they don't have an answer, you win. But if you play it and they have an answer, you cry. And everything has answers. It can be unsummoned. It can be killed by anything, basically. So no. But thank you for watching. Running out of time. Y'all have a great day.